What will happen to Jane's Social Security benefit if she stops working? And we're going to go from point A all the way to point Z here. So Jane, the lady I was working with today, has given me the permission to use her Social Security earnings statement. And we're going to plug that into a spreadsheet and we're going to examine it. So basically what's going on here is we have, here is her earnings statement that she just created from socialsecurity.gov, SSA.gov. And you should do this and you should save all these things, by the way. We don't have 2021 record yet. Jane was born in 1960, by the way, so she's 62 years old. That's important. Anyway, so she theoretically could take Social Security right now this year if she wants. But anyway, be it as it may, we're going to figure this out because should Jane continue to work? What would her benefit be? Big what if. So you can see it goes all the way back to 1976 when she was 16 years old. Probably, I don't know, freaking making newspaper routes, wait tables, answer the phone, I don't know. But then when she's 24 to 25, her income jumps up a little bit, or quite a bit. That's probably her first real corporate gig, her career work. So what we do, we're just plugging all this. You can see we don't see her name. And we're plugging into a spreadsheet. And we're just taking her total earnings, all right? So just look at this for now. Her total earnings. And we're going to go from 2021 all the way down to 1976. We're just taking them and just typing them in. Again, you could probably cut and paste this. And we got $1.813 million is what she has made that was subject to Social Security taxation. Now, if we go back to her record, that $1.81 million, she paid $109,000 on that $1.81 million. Now, this is just for my own interest. So she paid $109,000 on the $1.831. So she paid about 6% of her income that she made to Social Security. And she paid $26,000 into Medicare. So basically between Jane, her and her employer, that's about $130, about $182 they paid to Medicare and Social Security on her total of $1.83 million. Yeah, $1.813 million. All right, so there you go. That's about $180,000. That's about 10% is what she's totally paid between her and her employer. All right, now that's the reason why is because we're using these first few years as well, all right, which she didn't make much money. All right, now this will have nothing, this total amount she paid won't have anything to do in this case. It might have something to do for you because what we got to do first and foremost, so we got to come up and index her numbers. All right, so what that means is you got to go to your Social Security. Oops, that's not, I do want to stay there. Hold on a second. We want to stay there. We want to go to the indexing amount. And I'll put links in the show notes. And what you do is you tell Social Security when your earliest year of eligibility is, and that's when you turn 62. So her earliest year of eligibility for old Jane is this year, 2022, because this is the year she turns 62. All right, if your earliest year of eligibility is another year, my earliest year of eligibility is 2032. But we're just going to use Jane for the time being because that's the year you turn 62. The year you turn 62 is your earliest year of eligibility. I can't stress this enough. And that's what you put here. Then you hit submit. And you'll see her indexing factors are all these numbers. So let's just look at 2000. Her indexing in 2000 is 1.73. And I'll explain all this here in just a second. All right, if we go back 1.73 and we say my earliest year of eligibility is 2032, and 2000 my index amount is 2.546. All right, so they're completely different, but depending on when your earliest year of eligibility is. And why this matters, hang in there, because we're going to take all these numbers and we're going to put them into our spreadsheet. All right, so what that means is, remember we said the indexing in 2000 was 1.73. So the 38,917 she made in the year 2000, we index by an inflation, if you will, of 1.73. It's not a cost of living, it's actually average wage index, but it doesn't matter. It just says this is what Social Security Administration uses to give you a bump in terms of your real dollars in today's dollars. So they're basically saying 38,917 in 2000 is the equivalent of 67,327 today. Hope that makes sense. We're indexing to keep up with average wage index. That's what this is. Because if we were just to pay you off of this number right here, it's going to be not much. We don't pay you off that much, that number. We being the Social Security Administration. We index it as the AWI, the average wage index. All right, so in this case, we take all these years. So we'll go back to 1988. She made $22,661. But for Social Security numbers, that means she's actually going to get paid on $65,000. I cannot stress this enough. I can't stress this enough. You index them. So the $1,500 she made in 1980, she'll be paid on her indexing factor of 4.44, so it'll be $69.48. All right, so if we take her total taxable Social Security earnings, we got 1.83 in real numbers, but we got an extra million if you factor in index numbers. No one gets this, and it drives me up the wall. In fact, I'm going to do another video later on about how pessimistic people are. This has nothing to do with anything. This has nothing to do with anything in terms of your real Social Security income. You index them based on what I just showed you on SSA.gov, and it gives you this amount. Now, the problem with this amount here is it's too much. We have 45 years of earnings. She worked from 2021 all the way to 1976. That's 45 years. Social Security could care less about the extra 10 years. They only care about your top 35 of indexed numbers. That's it. Your top 35. All right, so we're saying, actually, I think I might have, let's just bear with me just a second. That's F1 to F47. Ooh, F1 up. So yeah, it's not even full. Hold on a second. We got 1, 2. Just bear with me. Let me pause real quick. Just taking our top 35 years of not total earnings, of indexed earnings. This is critical to understand. So basically, if you look here, she made less in 2003 than she did in 2004. But from an indexing perspective, 2003 is more valuable than 2004 because the index number, again, the average wage index increased. So what we do is we go and we look at the top 30. Oh, I got 36, so we got to delete this one right here. So we're going to delete 1985 because she only made $16,770, $16,377, which is the lowest of what I thought was a top 35. It was actually the top 36. Yeah, so we're going to delete that one right there. All right, good. So basically what's happening here is we're saying we take the top 35 of indexed earnings, and that will be, that's going to be F3 to F37. So F3 to F37, boink, F3 to F37. There we go. And that will give us our total, and we add all these up. I hope this makes sense. So remember, you get all of your information from the Social Security Administration, all of your indexed earnings. You calculate those, you put them in a spreadsheet, and then you go get your indexing amount, which is based on your earliest year of eligibility, which is when you turn 62. Then you times those earnings by the indexing amount, and you get this number right here. This right here, this third column C and D. But that's not, you're not done yet. You got to take your top 35 of your indexing amounts. And what you'll see is when you index all these and you take your top 35, she has $2.722 million of indexed earnings for which Social Security payment is based on. I hope that makes sense. But we're not done yet. But Josh, why do I need to know? Because you need to know this stuff. What if you decide to retire at 59? So $2.722 million, all right? We divide that by 420 because you take your top 35 years, which is 420 a month, 420 months, because what we're trying to figure out is what our monthly benefit is, not our annualized benefit, our monthly benefit. So you take your top 35 indexed years, add them together, divide by 420, and we have our average indexed monthly earnings, AIME, is $6,482. Average indexed monthly earnings. But that's not the benefit you're going to get. I wish it were, but it's not. You got to take in 2022, this is 2022, Your first $1,024, and this is where you get the bend points right here. You can see the bend points have gone up significantly. In 1979, the first bend point was 180, second was 1,085. In 2022, the first bend point is 1,024, the second bend point is 6,172. So what you do is your first, oh, I didn't do that. Oops, I gotta let's unformat these guys right here because I'll show you what I'm talking about. Edit, format, clear, format right there. All right, let me pause real quick. So of the first bend point of 1,024, you only get 90% of that in your Social Security benefit. That's it, 90%. Of the next amount from 6,172, so basically from $1,025 to 6,172, you get 32% of that, which is 1,647. The third bend point, which is anything above 6,172, you get 15% of that. So you can see it's a progressive tax, or you could say that's not really progressive tax. It kind of is. I mean, basically they're saying the more money you make, the less of a Social Security benefit you get relative to your income. So of the amount that's above 6,172, you get 15% of that. So in this case, it's only $46. So again, the first bend point, you get 90% of that. So she made 1,024 is the first bend point. 90% of that, she'll get 922 as a benefit. The next amount is 6,172 minus 1,024. You times that by 0.32, and she'll get 1,647 as a benefit. And then finally, the next one is anything above 6,172. She'll get 15%, which will be $46. Add all these together. That is her PIA. Her PIA right there, 26,115. All right. So far, so good. 26,15. All right, so a lot of people say, but should I keep working? All right, let's see what happens. So let's say she works in 2020. We're just going to put $100,000 in here just for simplicity. All right, so let me show you what's happening. Remember, write this number down. 26. Actually, I probably should write it down because I'm the one doing the video. 26. If I could find my. There we go. 26,115 is what her total benefit will be. All right. So now let's say, for giggles, in 2021, she'll make $150,000. You ready? So we're just going to put $150,000 in here. 150, and that should come over. It did not. So I got to put it right here. There we go. 150. That's what I wanted to do. And oops, 1 second. Oops. There we go. And why did that show up? Okay, I just got to. So we're going to put 150 here. All right, everybody with me so far? So she in 2021, when the Social Security numbers, they'll say, "Oh, you didn't make zero. You made $150,000." All right, so let's just make sure that changed, and that did not. Okay, so basically what's happening here is this 150, because remember it's a top 35, is going to replace this one right here. Because a top 35, we have 36, and because she made 150,000, which is more than is that more than half? Roughly twice what she made in 2020. That will replace her lowest 35 years of index earnings, 54,154. So now what we got to do? We got to change this to F2. Yeah, F2 and F. We change that to F2, F36. F2 to F36. And I'm sure one of you spreadsheet gurus could figure that out in 2 seconds flat, not me. What did that do for her Social Security? So now it went from 2.7 something million to 2.8 something million. You would think that would do a lot in terms of her total indexed earnings. Well, it didn't do much. It only increased her benefit by $32. 2,647. That's it. Increased. So working that extra year increased her benefit by $32. Wow. Wow, that's great. So now let's do this. Let me pause real quick. Now we're going to say in 2022 she made $150,000. So now we got to go back and change her lowest. So her lowest that she'll lose, I'm just going to say this one, it doesn't matter. So the lowest will be 1986. It's not truly the lowest, 1987. It's a couple bucks lower, but for just a spreadsheet, it's easier to just say that. So now we're going to come down here and say she, from F1 down to F38, no, 37, F1 to F37, there you go. I should be right, F1, so let's just, hold on a second. F1 to F36, all right, cool. So we're going to change this from F1 to F36, and F36 and F1. And let's see, is it F1 or is it F? Actually, I don't think it's F1. I think it's F2. Let's come back. It's F2, right? All right, sweet. So F2 to F36, right? Yeah, okay, good. That's 35. Perfect. So her total indexed earnings for which Social Security bases their payment to you is $2.9 million. Divide that by 420, use the bend points. And now she's getting 2,679. All right. So that's an extra from her working an extra 2 years, making $150,000. Now I get it. Social Security has a limit on how much they tax it. I just want to show you, man. She's only going to get an extra $64 a month. So we take our trusted calculator, $64 a month times 12, extra $768 a year. For life, I grant you, but for working an extra 2 years at $150. I mean, come on, man. Come on, man. Let's say she made $90,000 instead of the huge jump up right there. Should automatically do it for us. And she's back to 2,636. If she makes the same similar salary she's making now, instead of 80, what do we got? 80,000, 85, she makes 90. It increases her benefit 2,636. I mean, you get, look at that. So her benefit now is 2,615. If she works the next year at 150, it's 2,647. If she works a second year at 150, it's 2,679. If she only makes 80 or 90, what did I say? 90 is 2,636 for an extra 2 years. So she'll make an extra $21 a month times 12. That's $252 a year for her life, I grant you. But she had to work her crappy old job for another 2 years at making 90, what did I say? $90,000 a year for an extra $250 a month. Dude, you can do 8 million other things to get the, I mean, $252 a year. There's 8 million things you could do instead of working some crappy old job for an extra $252 a year. The point is, it's just a law of large numbers. Once you get so much in here, working an extra couple years doesn't change it that much. I just showed you, man. It went from 2.78 million of the top 35 years of indexed earnings to 2.9 million, an extra $130,000. But all that did is to change it by by $64 a month. That's less than $1,000 a year. So if you're like being harassed by some clown boss or some clown boss saying you got to get the jabbas, and you're like, man, I already got a number of years in Social Security. I already ran my numbers. It's not going to change that much. It's just not, man. And how do I know this? Because what I did, when I quit my job at USA in 2017, my benefit said $2,800 a month if I continued to make the kind of income I was making going forward until I was 67. 2018, I basically had no income. So my benefit said, okay, if you have no income from now until 2032, your first year of eligibility, or whatever it was, I guess when I was 67. But either way, it went from $2,800 a month, assuming I made the Social Security max from 47 till 67. To 2018, it went to $2,200 a month, assuming I made no money from 47 to 67. And that's like, whoa. Yeah, it's a $600 a month difference, but that's 20 years of Social Security Administration saying you make no money, and I'm still only $600 less than I was if I made the max. That's when I said, oh, working an extra couple of years, if you've already got a bunch of earnings in there, it just isn't going to change. It's just not going to change the trajectory of your Social Security. I hope this makes sense. This is critical. So if you're sitting there, crappy old job, band-aids, this, that, and the other, social justice warriors, CRT crap, woke culture, and you're like, I got to hang in there because Social Security will pay me more. Think of another reason to hang in there because it's not it. I'd love to hear your thoughts. We'll see you.